One of the most in-demand women of the 1990s, Anna Nicole Smith was the epitome of glamour, the perfect example of the dumb blonde, and perhaps the finest cautionary tale of what reality TV can do to a person, all wrapped up into one of the sexiest packages that humanity has ever been graced with. Today, we look at her life and death on AI True Crime. Anna Nicole Smith was born Vicki Lynn Hogan in 1967 in Houston, Texas. She grew up in poverty. Her mother worked various jobs, the family moved often, and school felt like something to survive rather than something to complete. By her late teens, she was working in a fried chicken restaurant. By the early 1990s, she had become a 6-foot-tall blonde with a body made for attention and a hunger for more. Her transformation was meteoric. In May 1992 she appeared in Playboy. By 1993 she was Playmate of the Year and the face of Guess Jeans. Her image was pure 1990s excess, big hair, big curves, bright lips, and the faint ghost of Marilyn Monroe in her eyes. But behind the glamour was a storm already forming. In 1994, at just 26, she married 89-year-old Texas oil billionaire J. Howard Marshall II. The tabloids called her a gold digger before the ink was dry on the marriage license. He called her his angel. The union lasted just over a year. When Marshall died in 1995, the real battle began. She claimed he had promised her half his fortune. His son, Pierce, claimed she had manipulated a dying man. What followed was a courtroom war that would drag on for more than a decade, eventually reaching the United States Supreme Court. It was one of the most vicious inheritance disputes in American history, filled with accusations of greed, forgery, and exploitation. But Anna's real life was beginning to spin out. The drug started with painkillers for her back and grew into an entire pharmacy of dependency. Her weight fluctuated wildly. Her voice, once flirtatious and bright, became slow and slurred. She seemed to be drowning in public. Then came the Anna Nicole Show, a reality series that turned her unraveling into entertainment. Viewers laughed at her confusion, at her tantrums, at her tears. It was one of the cruelest shows ever to air, and it made her famous all over again. Amid all of it, there were rumors of something darker. FBI files later revealed that between 2000 and 2001, Anna Nicole Smith was investigated for a possible murder-for-hire plot against her stepson, Pierce Marshall. The case never resulted in charges, but it showed just how deep the paranoia and resentment around that inheritance had gone. The people in her orbit changed constantly: lawyers, hangers-on, doctors, and lovers. Some wanted to protect her. Many wanted to control her. In 2006, she became pregnant. She fled the United States for the Bahamas, saying she wanted peace. She gave birth to her daughter, Danielyn, on September 7. 3 days later, her 20-year-old son Daniel, from her first marriage, died suddenly while visiting her in the hospital. The cause was a lethal mix of methadone and antidepressants. Anna never recovered. Her grief became another public spectacle. The question of who fathered her baby became the next obsession. Several men claimed paternity, including her attorney and constant companion Howard K. Stern, and a photographer named Larry Birkhead. The tabloids treated it like sport. Lawsuits and DNA tests followed. She retreated to her Bahamian home, but the cameras never stopped watching. On February 8, 2007, Anna Nicole Smith was found unconscious in a hotel room in Hollywood, Florida. She was pronounced dead that afternoon. She was 39. The autopsy revealed a chemical tragedy: chloral hydrate, methadone, benzodiazepines, and muscle relaxants all in her system. The official cause was accidental overdose, but nothing about her life had ever been simple. The aftermath was chaotic. Her body became the subject of legal battles. Her companions were accused of forging prescriptions under fake names. Her lawyer and live-in partner, Howard K. Stern, was charged with conspiracy to illegally provide drugs to an addict. 2 of her doctors were also charged. They were later acquitted, but the trials laid bare a pattern of reckless prescribing that blurred the line between care and exploitation. Some of the most disturbing details came from her final days. In the Bahamas, She had been photographed with a local politician, the immigration minister, fueling rumors of influence and favoritism. Her mansion there contained an open refrigerator filled with diet products, injectable vitamins, and bottles of methadone. The drugs followed her everywhere, from Los Angeles to Nassau to Florida. Each bottle seemed to carry someone else's name. Even her funeral was a contest. In the Bahamas, where she was buried beside her son, old enemies stood side by side with lovers and lawyers. Cameras filmed every moment. Her daughter's paternity was finally confirmed. Larry Birkhead was the father. He would raise the child far from the cameras that had devoured her mother. The story of Anna Nicole Smith has all the elements of a true crime story: money, sex, death, and power. But the crime was not only the overdose or the prescriptions. It was the system that fed on her. She was used by everyone who touched her life: the tabloids, the lawyers, the corporations, the men who called themselves protectors. Even the courts could not save her. She fought for a fortune she never got to spend, for love she could not keep, and for peace that never came. The FBI investigation remains a strange footnote. The paternity trial turned her death into spectacle. The drug charges revealed a pipeline of controlled substances fed to her by people who said they cared. And through it all, she became an American myth. A poor girl who became rich, a sex symbol who became an addict, a mother who buried her child, and a woman who died surrounded by people who stood to gain from her demise. She wanted to be Marilyn Monroe, and she got her wish in the worst possible way. Like Monroe, she became a blonde ghost of the American dream: beautiful, tragic, profitable. In the years since her death, documentaries, trials, and lawsuits have kept her story alive. They have not brought clarity, only repetition. Every retelling shows how modern fame can turn a human being into a commodity. Anna Nicole Smith's death was ruled an accident. But accidents do not happen in isolation. They are built step, by decisions, by pressure, by greed, and by neglect. Hers was a slow-motion crime committed in plain sight. Her beauty was her weapon and her curse, and in the end, the same eyes that once adored her only watched her fade. She remains frozen in photographs, smiling with a tilt of the head, all promise and sadness. Her story is not just a tragedy, it is a warning. The cameras are still rolling. The appetite for destruction is still there. The crime that killed Anna Nicole Smith was never solved, because it was never meant to be. It was the crime of fame itself. Next time on AI True Crime, it's going to be a look at one of Hollywood's most famous cases: the death of William Dean Tanner, better known as William Desmond Taylor. So stick around. AI True Crime is written by Chat, art by Midjourney, and music by Marika. We've put a transcript in our show notes. We'll be back in a week with our next exciting tale.